Welcome to Archery Country Podcast. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Archery Country Podcast. This is your host, Waite, and we're in Rogers Studios, Suite 101 again. Rocking and rolling, and we got a pretty cool podcast, especially as we're right in the heat, the thick of early season. A lot of out west hunters, some success stories already filtering through the shops, and we got our whitetail season is right around the corner. We got North and South Dakota that is open here in the Midwest, and we're talking to an awesome dude from a company. When we talk broadheads, it is such a huge area to cover, such a plethora of options. Some are good, some are terrible, some are awesome. And we're glad to have from Grim Reaper Broadheads, we have our national sales manager, Mr. Matt Bateman. How you doing, Matt?
Good. How are you doing today, Wade?
We're doing phenomenal. It's a beautiful day. Get that fall feeling going on.
Yep.
And then we have the store manager, Dan Block, on the right of me, and also Jack Opatz.
Howdy. Howdy.
You guys are so enthusiastic this morning. I love it. I don't even know what you're staring at, but you're so enthusiastic.
Staring outside at the blue sky.
Soon to be covered. Matt, I got to ask you this. You're one of the oldest employees, if not the oldest, with Grim Reaper. You have an extensive history. If you wouldn't mind taking us on a little relaxing ride, your life history of archery, what brought you into the business, and then Grim Reaper start, kind of a history, little bio, if you don't mind.
Yeah, you bet. I guess that's a lot that goes into all of that. But, so like you mentioned, I am the national sales manager currently at Grim Reaper Broadheads, longest tenured employee at the company, 14 years strong. The company itself is just over 20 years old. So, 5 or 6 years into the history of the company is when I came on board, and that those last 10, 15 years is when Grim Reaper has really blown up into who we are. So my history, just grew up with a love and passion for the outdoors, like a lot of us did. From an early age, just got super interested in archery and bow hunting, and started having success doing that, and actually started in the industry, just kind of shooting on staff programs with different companies. And Grim Reaper was one of those. My first experience with the Grim Reaper, I was actually traveled out of state and shooting a fixed blade broadhead, that something happened to my bow and traveling, and I just got to camp, couldn't get it to fly, and a friend handed me a couple mechanical Grim Reapers, and the only thing I could get to shoot straight in camp with limited tools I had. So anyways, ended up hunting with them for the week, and fell in love with them, and kind of after that, shot on a staff position for them, and I actually worked in the custom gun business for a little while, for a company building custom rifles, and I wasn't a gun guy, I wasn't a gun hunter, and one day I stopped by Grim Reaper to pick up some broadheads, and got talking with the owner, Jay, and he mentioned, hey, why don't you enjoying what you're doing at the gun company? I said, no, not really, I love bows, I don't love guns, and that kind of started the conversation of going to work for Grim Reaper, and here I am 14 years later. So we've traveled all over the country and the world bow hunting, and talk broadheads every single day to hundreds and thousands of customers and bow hunting enthusiasts. So that's really my expertise. No one on the planet knows more about Grim Reaper broadheads than myself. And that's one thing we pride ourselves on as a company, is just, knowing what we're talking about and knowing our products, and being able to help people out. So I'm now the father of 3 and got young kids just getting into bow hunting. So kind of chasing that little bit different avenue in my bow hunting career, and just love getting outside and chasing critters around still. So, but yeah, that's a little bio on me. Grim Reaper Broadheads itself, unique story. The owner of the company 20 plus years ago, Jay Lacey is his name, and he still the owner today. He when mechanicals first really started hitting the market, he liked the concept, but just didn't like several things with mechanical broadheads back in the day, durability and deflection issues and different things. So he took and picked apart a mechanical broadhead, made a list of everything that literally he could find wrong, and resolved those issues. And another unique fact to it is we're out west here, and he wanted to build a mechanical back in the day that was worthy of hunting elk, which I know there's some, still to this day, can be a heated topic, but he designed the original Grim Reaper mechanical with the features and the durability and the penetration and the things to be able to go tackle something like an elk. That's kind of where we were founded and how we started, and really has driven where we are today. We're unique as a brand, and we do things differently on our broadheads. So that's a quick little bio of me and the company.
I love it. And one of the greatest things, and this is a huge, you don't think about it, but it's a huge selling point. When you grab a package of Grim Reaper broadheads and you look on the back, you guys are out of Provo, Utah, and the broadheads themselves is 100% made in the USA. All components proudly made and assembled right where you guys are at. There's not a lot of companies in the archery world, let alone the outdoor world, that can put that on their package.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, especially nowadays. We're super proud that we not only make things in the USA, but we actually have our own 10,000 square foot machine shop with multiple, CNC screw machines. We machine our own components. We're hands-on with everything from start to finish of the manufacturing of our own products in-house, which, yeah, there are other companies out there that can throw a made in the USA tag on their product, but actually made in-house in our own machine shop with ultimate and total control over the product and the quality and, all aspects of the manufacturing and assembly of the broadheads is really, really unique. And then on top of that, in today's industry, being independently owned under original ownership for the past 20 plus years is also super unique. How many companies have come and gone and sold to other companies and investment groups, et cetera, and every time those companies change hands, that passion, that expertise is lost. Where we pride ourselves on being absolute experts on Grim Reaper broadheads and broadheads in general. You can actually call and talk to someone like me or one of our guys that in-house an actual expert on our products, and that's pretty rare in this industry anymore. So yeah, we definitely take pride in what we do and who we are as a company, and I think it's a big driving factor as to why people should look at shooting Grim Reaper broadheads.
Couldn't agree more. And as that kind of sets the tone, this has been, we dissected this podcast a little bit, and we thought to ourselves, okay, as a pro shop, we have a ton of different broadhead companies, right? What people want. It seems like our Grim Reaper racks are always low because we're selling so many. But that brings up the topic that we walk very, very carefully around the edge, is fixed versus mechanical. I think we're going to start with the fixed blade broadheads. They've been around forever. They've advancements. And when they come into the shop, if they want 100% advice, we got to break down what they're hunting. We got to break down what their setup is. It isn't just to grab off the shelf and go. But what have you guys done in your fixed category? First, let's run through the entire setup. We carry the Grim Reaper Micro Hades Pro Series 3 blade. It's an 1 1/16 cut, 100 grain. But give us kind of the lineup of fixed blades. And then also as we dabble into that, what are we doing this day and age with bows shooting incredibly fast speeds, very, very efficient cams? What have you guys done in your advancements of broadheads to make it fit so when guys are shooting fixed blades, it's not a nightmare?
Right. Yeah. So, Grim Reaper's history with fixed blades is a little unique too. We started with mechanical broadheads, and for years and years and years and years, because that's what I explained. The owner, he wanted to rewrite the book of how a mechanical was made. But for years, we were really truly known as a mechanical broadhead company, and that's what we had. And we always had a fixed blade kicking around, our Hades, our original Hades. But, after, 6-7 years ago, when we watched, actually what I described earlier, we watched several, and I'm not going to throw names out, but we watched several top-end fixed blade broadhead companies, actually fixed blade broadheads that I respected and thought were good products. We watched them sell out. We watched the quality of the product deteriorate. We got constant calls from customers, from dealers. Man, I need to replace this name brand broadhead that sold out, and the quality's just not there anymore. They took it overseas or whatever. So, we stepped back and said, what are we doing? We as a company are a broadhead only brand, one of the only. We need to put some serious design and development and focus into the fixed blade category, because back then our research still showed at least, it was almost a 50-50 split on guys shooting fixed versus mechanical, and that's just not going to change. So yeah, we went to the drawing board, again, did what we do and looked at everything that we liked in a fixed blade design. Obviously, durability, sharpness, etc. But one of the biggest factors when it comes to shooting a fixed blade broadhead is accuracy. Especially, like you mentioned, as bows are just getting faster and faster and faster, it becomes difficult to shoot fixed blade broadheads, or it can be, without the bow being perfectly tuned and the shooter having excellent form, all those different things. So we wanted to design two different categories. We designed our Hades, our Hades Pro line, which is a little bit bigger fixed blade broadhead with 1 3/16 cut. But we also wanted to add what we call the micro Hades, a little bit more moderate cut diameter at 1 16. We could build it on an all steel design, even in 100 grain. But scaling back the cut diameter a little bit offered more forgiveness on the accuracy end with these faster bows. So it's just physics, guys sit and discuss and argue, oh, this fixed blade doesn't fly, etc. When you add profile up front and you're pushing 300 feet per second, and everything's got to come together right to get that thing to fly like a dart. So we wanted to create a line of fixed blade broadheads that out of the gate was fairly forgiving when it comes to accuracy, and that's where the micro Hades stemmed from. So we designed the micro Hades. We offered 100, 125, and 150 grain. We offered in 3 and 4 blade configurations, and it's just been an absolute winner for us. It's been phenomenal for us. It's just one of those broadheads that just works really well. It shoots really well. And again, it's all relative to the setup being right, a guy's bow being tuned well, his arrow being spined correctly, and a guy knowing how to shoot. But out of the gate, that micro Hades, because of the short, compact design, the smaller overall cut diameter, our Pro Series tip, our streamlined design on that broadhead, it just is very, very forgiving and accurate for guys that want to go that route with a fixed blade broadhead. It's tough and gets the job done every time. So,
and we can attest to that. And Dan, I'm going to kind of throw you on the spot. You've shot fixed blade for a long time, but as stepping outside, who shoots what? We'll get to that in a little bit. But you've been in this business for 12 years as far as tuning bows, set up. One of the cool features here at Archery Country is we're very open to help guys over the phone, and we also offer the ability to broadhead tune in-house. And we can sit here and doctor it up and sugarcoat it as much as we want. But when we see a guy come in that's 29.5 to 30 inches shooting 305 feet per second, and they throw their arrows on the rack and, okay, I want you guys to tune my fixed blade broadheads. We'll go bow-legged and cross-eyed trying to figure it out. There are certain products, especially Grim Reaper, that we can grab that is going to ease the situation. What do you see, Dan, as far as the fixed blade? Why are these so easy for us to kind of work around that tuning? And of course, when I say this, a disclaimer, shooting form is a very, very important issue. Having a properly tuned bow, which is our job. If you're going to do it yourself, ask and then go. But why are especially the micro Hades, what we carry in the shop, why do we see them so much more, and why is it so much easier?
I think it's overall ferrule design, personally. I think that's probably what helps the most. It's a little bit shorter than, some of the XYZ brands where they have a super long ferrule, long blades. They just don't fly as good. But again, that also comes down to correct arrow too. There's a lot of guys that come in here, they just want to buy a pack of broadheads, and they just don't believe that their arrow setup is wrong, and they want us to basically tune that broadhead perfect. And at the end of the day, you need to have kind of be ready for anything, because a lot of times, I'd say overall spine is not correct when people come in here too. So no, I would agree for fixed blade broadheads, the micro Hades is probably one of the better designs out there.
I love the chisel tip design. Matt and Jack, you know this as well. The ferrule, we talk about the blades, the components that work together. Was that a trial and error deal when you guys, obviously you're all bow hunters and you're shooting in the shop and you have that advancement? How many times or how many broadheads did you have to make before you kind of settled on that design?
It's kind of interesting if you look at and there's a lot of proprietary information, but we literally have dozens and dozens of broadhead designs drawn up, and generated, and some are written on paper and some are on the computer, and we've made multiple different prototypes and played with a lot of different broadheads. So, I mean, we literally go through dozens of designs, and we have broadheads we've played with for 10, 15, 20 years that we've never put on the market, just because the timing wasn't right or other reasons, right? But so, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to even put a number on it, but there's a lot of trial and error that goes into it. We've changed, just looking at the pro tip. It took us, that design has literally been since day one at Grim Reaper. We had the original razor tip on our broadheads, and years later we came out with a razor cut, more of a cut on contact design. And then for at least the last 15 years, the owner and I had discussed, and we wanted to make the perfect tip that was both durable but could be razor sharp. And that's, I mean, it literally took a decade for us to fine tune the pro tip that's on all of our Pro Series broadheads, including the micro Hades. And we actually hand sharpen every one of those to get that sharpness that we want, but yet still maintain the durability of that pro tip. So it's pretty labor intensive, and there's a lot that goes into it, and we're constantly playing and tinkering, and some of these things you see come to market we've been playing with for 5-10 years. So there's definitely a lot that goes into it behind the scenes to bring that final product that really just works good.
And I think that's something that consumers can respect, especially the guys that have any machining background or anything as far as dynamic. Yeah, let's just say it, that there are some archers that they go down the rabbit hole extensively, and they have their arrow builds right, and they're spine, dynamic spine and static spine, and they figured it all out. And you see it, obviously here in the Midwest, it's 50-50, like you say, from fixed blade to mechanicals. I really don't. I shoot mechanicals. I say it. I've shot them forever. I've switched from brands to brands. I got turned on when I started the shop here. Jake Schlungen, the owner, and Dan. You guys made us a turkey broadhead that was 125 grain 4-blade whitetail special look to it. And the first bird that I shot with that, literally, usually you shoot them and they'll go 30 yards and then pop a feather down and wing beat and they're done. This bird, I don't know if it was the impact, I don't know if it was the bow that Dan sold me or what all happened, but it literally jumped up in the air and it died. And since then, I have shot from mini mags to the whitetail specials to, we don't carry those broadheads anymore. But that I shoot mechanicals. I think a lot of us here in the shop shoot mechanicals besides 2 or 3 guys, but they're very open to it. But I think as a consumer, when you are going to shoot a fixed blade, there are certain things that you need to look at, which Matt and Dan have already looked at: the tip, the ferrule design, the blade design. And you were talking about hand sharpening and the blades and the tips on that. Is there a certain degree that you guys are running on your blade? You know, there are some kamikaze gurus out there that'll sharpen these to a certain, I don't even know. This is how stupid I am on blades, but if I said 30 degree and 30 degree or 60 degree, is that, you know, are you guys concentrating on something? What are your machine set up? Why are these so damn sharp?
You know, the tip itself, the sharpness is because of, if you look at the tip design, the machining is actually V-notched. The facets of that tip are actually V-notched in on the 3 facets of the pro tip. So that allows the tip to come to a really fine point and the edges to come to a good sharp edge for a tip. And then we hand sharpen them. Actually, we've customized, well, we have a couple different commercial grade belt grinders that we have someone that's their job all day long, is to sit and hand sharpen pro tips on the belt grinder. But the fixed blades themselves, I believe, and this may be a little off, but the final hone angle on that edge is around 40 degrees. But one of the things that sets our blades apart is, yes, they're sharp, but we design our blades to feel sharp for sure out of the package, but even more importantly than that, to still hold a true edge after passing through an animal. So you can thin a blade out or sharpen it on a really fine angle with cheap steel, etc., and you shoot, and the instant it contacts something, that blade edge rolls over, and you're essentially punching a dull blade the whole way through the animal. But what you'll find with Grim Reapers, they don't. They usually can shoot them through something, and that edge still feels good and sharp, and that's the key to a good blade. It comes down to the quality of the steel, obviously, and then the angle that they're sharpened. We don't want to get them too thinned out where it just rolls over on impact, and then you're pushing a dull blade through. So just do that. Well, next time you shoot an animal, feel your blade. They usually feel pretty dang good compared to a lot of our competitors, and that's the real key to a good quality blade.
And Dan and I, we argue off and on as a fun, friendly argument, poking at each other. I asked Dan the other day, I said, why a fixed blade? Why are we selling so many fixed blades? And he brought up a point that in my mind, or in most archers' mind, and I think we can all agree, the 4 of us here, a pass-through is what we want. An entry hole and an exit hole. Am I right, guys?
Correct. Yeah.
So,
Correct.
But what if, and Dan brought this up, he goes, what happens if you do hit an off shoulder where you're quartering away and you center punch at 12 ring, but you're hitting the off shoulder, you get through the scapular rib bone, and that broadhead is still in there, and your animal is hemorrhaging and he's moving. If the blades are not sharp after they entered the first set of the hide, the skin, the hair, the bone, any deflection whatsoever, if your blades are not rigid, they're not going to cut either a pass through or if they're stuck in there. And when Dan brought that up, I kind of sat back and I went, I'll be damned if he's not right. It makes a ton of sense. Especially, I push fixed blades if I have a lady or a younger gentleman or even an older gentleman that shoots low poundage, short draw length, a little bit weaker spined arrow, a fixed blade, cut on contact, chisel tip setup. That's going to be my go-to because we're not robbing any kinetic energy.
Right. So, if you don't mind, I want to touch on a couple things there. Great point. And, what Dan said is really true. There's gives and takes, right, to fix the mechanical on both ends. I'm a mechanical guy. I shoot mechanical exclusively, religiously, even out west here on big game animals. But when I say that, you can't just generalize mechanical broadheads. There are so many different, even in my lineup, there's so many different cut diameters and blade angles and things that go into how a broadhead performs. So you're right. As far as just straight up penetration, a fixed blade will out penetrate most of the time. not necessarily because it's fixed, because generally it's smaller and generally it's got a more swept back blade angle. Two giant factors when it comes to penetration. Sure, there's a little bit of energy involved with deploying blades. With our system, very minimal, but normally it's based off of total blade surface and blade angle. Those are two giant factors in penetration. And absolutely, you leave a broadhead in an animal, to me that's one of the negatives to a mechanical. Even though I'm a diehard mechanical guy, you leave it in an animal, the mechanical blades retract, and that's by law in most states. You can't have a mechanical broadhead where the blades lock open, because it's then considered a barbed broadhead. So they have to retract closed to a certain degree, so that it can pull out of the animal. A fixed blade left inside an animal as it runs off is going to do more damage and keep cutting and keep working for you. So that's one win I'll give to the fixed blade category for sure. Is if you leave it in the animal. So like you said, low poundage, kids, women, etc., where that's a high probability, great option. But on the flip side, a mechanical broadhead, there's a couple things that you can't argue. It gives you, one, accuracy and forgiveness, especially out of speed setups. Even I rub shoulders with some of the best shooters in the world, and they will all tell you, even a good quality, low profile fixed blade broadhead, when they're real world shooting out at 60, 80 yards, whatever, with a little breeze or whatever, they are handicapped to some degree by a fixed blade head. It's physics. It's got more profile, right? So you got to give that win to a mechanical broadhead, that it is absolutely a good quality mechanical, is more accurate, more forgiving. You can maybe get away with the guy that you were describing earlier that thinks his spine's correct and it's not. His spine's too weak on his arrow for his setup, whatever. You can maybe get away with that with a mechanical, where you are not with a fixed. So there are scenarios where both of them shine. Personally, I'll just say it, I'm a moderate cut mechanical broadhead guy. I like a mechanical broadhead like you guys sell, the Mini Mag and the Pro 3. Those are my two. 3-blade inch and straight, or the Mini Mag 1.25 inch. They're moderate size mechanical, so I still maintain durability that I want, but I still maintain the penetration I want, but I get a little bit more cut diameter out of them than a fixed blade. That's personally my go-to. Now, when you go to something great big like the Whitetail Special, it is designed for that. It's designed for whitetail hunting, 20, 30, 40 yards, controlled circumstances, ground blinds, tree stands, picking your shot angle, shooting them in the ribs. It's huge. It's devastating. Does an awesome job. That's what it's designed for. But you do sacrifice penetration, because it's a 2-inch cut 3-blade broadhead with 3 inches of total blade surface, versus like the micro Hades 3-blade, which is like 1.8 inches of total blade surface. So you're talking a significant difference in blade surface. And then the Whitetail Special, when the blades are deployed, has a 50-degree blade angle. It takes a lot more energy to push that blade angle through, where the micro Hades has a 30-degree swept back blade angle. There's broadheads on both ends of the spectrum, and they both do great at certain things. Hit an animal back in the paunch or the liver, I like that bigger cut. If I hit an animal up forward in the shoulder, the micro 80 is going to give you the best chance. So you've got to decide what's your setup, what works best for you, what are you after? Are you okay with you square one up in the shoulder, you're not going through and you live with that? That's a bad shot on your part. Or do you want to set your setup up to be able to do that more likely, and that's the micro 80? So there's so many factors that go into choosing a broadhead, and there's not a one-size-fits-all. I'm a middleman. I'm 1 3/8 pro, swept blade angle, moderate cut, still penetrates really good. I can get through some hard stuff. That's what I personally shoot.
I love it. Okay.
This is a little bit off subject, but so a lot of people that shoot Grim Reapers, they might be a little bit freaked out the first time that they shoot a target, and they're going to see the blades are going to be retracted back in once it shoots at the target. Can you explain just overall, those blades are going to fold back just by the
centrifugal force
right.
and friction.
Yeah, that's a great thing to bring up. Appreciate that. So I don't think in the last 14 years, I don't think I have not fielded a phone call from a customer, a first-time user or whatever. My broadhead didn't open, whether it's on a target or on an animal or whatever. I'm pretty sure I have had that discussion almost every day. And we've actually gone as far as putting images on our packaging, YouTube videos, etc. But the way our broadheads are designed and work on a unique proprietary internal spring system, there's no bands or O-rings, but those blades are closed and stay closed with the spring. It's kind of like the shock on your truck. When you hit something, that spring compresses, those blades kick back, the blades open. But that spring now is compressed, and those blades are wanting to retract back closed. They'll lock open by hand, but when you shoot them, say, into a target, for one, if it goes internal in the target and you pull it out, the blades are going to retract when you pull it out. But if it shoots through the backside of your target and your broadhead sticking out the back of your target, the energy, the rapid deceleration, you're shooting 300 feet per second, and that arrow's coming to a dead stop in a matter of inches, right?
Basically,
it's like slamming the cars onto your brake.
Right.
It's slinging those blades back closed.
Inertia is always going to take over.
Yeah,
right.
Inertia is going to take over, and we actually have slow motion footage on our website showing that through ballistic gelatin. I mean, even before the arrow is stopped, as soon as it's decelerating, slowing down, inertia takes over, and those blades are already swinging back into the closed position. Mm-hmm. So if guys don't want to believe that, put a clean sheet of paper on the back of your target, and you'll see that when the blades come through, they're all fully deployed. Very, very common. No, even on an animal, you'll shoot through an animal at times and find your broadhead closed, or one blade closed, or two blade closed, or three blade closed. By no means is that an indication that the broadhead didn't open. It's just inertia. It's that arrow slowing down. It punches through the ribs or the hide on the offside, and those blades automatically want to, as the arrow slows down, close back up. Very common question and concern we get. There are physical indications on the broadhead that actually show that it opened. Those blades open up and hit into that steel collar and leave marks and indications on the collar and the blades, etc. I can tell you, after a lot of experience in shooting a lot of animals, if you take your mechanical broadhead, your German Reaper mechanical, when you put them on your arrow, if you open and close each blade by hand, and you can open them with a minimal amount of resistance. When you close them, they kind of click back closed. They essentially are fail-proof. We try to keep them closed. I tie 50-pound fishing tests on them. I super glue them. We try to force them to stay shut. We've actually tried to design features to turn your broadhead into a practice broadhead, and we can't, because those blades, after a couple shots, just rip whatever you put on there open. So it's very difficult to keep those blades from deploying, and we've tried many things. So, but yeah, they will shut. If you pull out of something, they will close. And like I explained earlier, that's by law. They have to retract back closed so they can pull out, or they're considered barbed. So thanks for that question. That's a great one.
Yep.
Yeah, it happens every time that somebody comes back in. They do it. We do have. Well, I don't want to save this till later because I'll forget about it. But a gentleman come in the other day, and he bought the Pro Series 3-blade, and then he came back in and he wanted to try the mini mags. And his question was, why do the Pro Series have the black collar and down on the base of the ferrule, holding our blades intact, and then like our whitetail specials and our mini mags have the silver? Is there a distinguished, is that just for the Pro, or is it a difference?
No, that's actually a great question. So earlier I referenced blade angle,
yep,
which is just a bigger factor to how a broadhead performs most people realize, the more swept back the blade angle, the more you're slicing rather than chopping through something. And the more bumped out the blade angle is, yeah, it causes more devastation, but it robs a lot more energy and also puts a lot more stress and torque on the components. So we offer in our mechanical line, we have a lot of different broadheads, but we actually have 2 different blade angles in our models. And anything with a silver collar, any broadhead Grim Reaper makes mechanically with a silver collar has a 50-degree blade angle when the blades are open. Anything with a black collar, like the Pro 3 blade, has a little bit more swept back 40-degree blade angle. So the blades actually open further and a more swept back angle. So the inch and 3/8 3 blade, it's one of the reasons I love that broadhead so much, is it has a swept back 40-degree blade angle, which is getting comparable to or the same as a lot of fixed blades out there. Whereas the Mini Mag and the Waite Special are a little bit different designs. They have a slightly more bumped forward blade angle at 50 degrees, and that's why they have the silver collars. So a lot of our competitors out there, blades are bumped clear out to like 60, 65, even flatter, and that just, man, you're chopping versus slicing, and it just takes a lot of energy to do that, and puts a lot of torque on the components, and causes a tug of war against your, say you got one blade out there, the flat blade angle hits a rib, and it's wanting to deflect, kick your arrow side to side. It just creates a lot of resistance, and that's why the more swept blade angle you got, the better it's going to penetrate, period.
We were going to, on our script here, we have tuning, and we were going to dive into that, but I don't, well, let's just say it right up front. Because Matt's already talked about it, Dan has tuning with a mechanical is virtually nothing. If you wanted me to be upfront and blunt with you, one of the easiest tuning mechanical broadheads is the Mini Mag or the Pro Series 3 blade. We can throw them on. If guys are struggling over in the range, we can throw them on.
And just shoot. Same with long distance.
Like a half inch, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
So we don't really have to go down that wormhole as tuning. Fixed blades, as we touched on it, I absolutely stand behind this. There is no broadhead in the market, through Grim Reaper or any other broadhead out there, that is identical to your field point. Whoever came up with that slogan thought they were a salesman of the year. It does not happen. A field point is anywhere from a half inch to 3/4 inch long, and it's usually matched up 5/16 to 9/32 if you're shooting smaller diameter arrows. It is not the same. You have
Correct.
Surface area on a mechanical. You have more surface area on a fixed blade. They're going to create more drag. They're going to intensify your flaws on your tune. So you have to shoot them. Now, the guys that come in and say, man, I only can spend $40, $44, and I want a pack of broadheads. Well, Grim Reaper in the mechanical line, you get 4 of them. So then burn one of them. Use it. Or buy 2 packs. If there is one thing
really, you're talking value. Yeah. You have 4 broadheads, and they're all made in America.
Exactly.
I mean, you can't.
So by all means, shoot the broadhead. And then if you have to do any little bit of rest movement or cam, swapping or shifting over, do it. But if I say one thing off this podcast, shoot the broadhead.
Yeah.
Shoot the broadhead.
Yep. 100%. I can actually detune my bow intentionally, and I can still shoot a decent group with a field point.
Yeah.
Right.
But you throw even a small fixed blade on, and good luck.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. A field point has 0 profile in flight. It's not attempting to steer the front of your arrow whatsoever. Your arrow flight's dictated by your fletchings, right? And even if it comes off the bow sciwampus, those fletchings will correct it. And I can shoot a good group with a intentionally detuned bow with a field point. You throw on a fixed blade and it's exaggerated. Even a mechanical broadhead is going to exaggerate more than a field point if there's a tuning issue. So absolutely check go to your pro shop, go into Archery Country, get your bow tuned correctly, and that'll save you a lot of heartache. Make sure you're shooting the right arrow for your setup, and then you can take and shoot what you want. But you still need to go throw them down range. And I laugh, and I'm not making light of guys, wanting to save money. But I talk to guys all the time, and they're dumping thousands of dollars into their hunting trip, and they're worried about a $10 broadhead.
Exactly.
It's the most vital thing you're going to do is hit that deer in the right spot with a good quality broadhead, or that elk, or that whatever hunt you're going on. So do it right, get set up right. And the cool thing is, maybe I shouldn't say this on air, but I shoot the same head year after year after year.
Yeah.
I don't have to put a lot of effort into shooting broadheads anymore, because I've done that, and I've done that, and I've done that. I put a lot of effort into my bow being tuned well, my arrow being correct, and me knowing how to shoot, and throwing on a Pro Inch and 3/8 or a mini mag becomes the easiest thing of my overall preparation. It really does.
What are you going to hunt with this year, Matt?
I am rocking the Pro 3 Inch and 3/8. I've already started hunting. Actually, I was on the mountain all day yesterday chasing muleys around here, and I'm shooting the Pro Inch and 3/8 out west here. And then when I'm actually, I know people will have a minor heart attack here, but I'm going on a Canadian moose hunt here in a couple weeks.
You stud.
And I'm going to shoot it with a Pro 3 Inch and 3/8 mechanical.
Very nice.
Attaboy.
Have all the confidence in the world in it. I've shot a lot of elk and a lot of big critters with it. And then I actually have been shooting the mini mag a lot when I come back whitetail hunting. I come back to the Midwest every year, and I've actually been flip-flopping between the two on a lot of my hunts. They both perform really well for me, and give me a little bit different features, and those are the two heads I'm personally shooting, the Pro 3 Inch and 3/8 3-blade and the mini mag.
Jacko, what are you shooting this year?
I'll be shooting the mini mag. I had really good luck with it a couple of years ago, and I don't ever plan on shooting anything else. Matt, I had a question. You got all these guys who are worried about tucking up against the front shoulder with broadheads. Do you have any experience of with let's say an expandable, just catching some bone, and what happened?
Yeah, two things on that. One, I don't tuck on the front shoulder. I'm a middle lung kind of guy, even middle to back lung kind of guy. I think that gives me my best result. But I have clipped shoulders, actually gone through scapulas multiple times, mostly on the exit side with the Pro 3 Inch and 3/8. Again, it just comes down to cut diameter and blade angle. I know we're probably running short on time, but I want to throw this out there because it's really, really important. We're going to compare the Inch and 3/8 3-blade and the Whitetail Special. Inch and 3/8 3-blade, 3-blade Inch and 3/8 has just almost exactly 2 inches of total blade surface. When you push it through a piece of paper, it cuts approximately 2 inches of paper, where the Whitetail Special is a 2-inch 3-blade. So you push it through a piece of paper, the total blade surface is 3 inches, a full inch more. And then on top of that, you're throwing in a little flatter blade angle on the Whitetail Special at 50 degrees versus the sweatback blade angle on the Inch and 3/8 at 40 degrees. So you're talking an inch more flatter blade angle. The odds of, with the average setup of punching through heavy bone with the Whitetail Special, is significantly lower than the Inch and 3/8 just because of the design. I've shot through scapular bones multiple times, and it's all relative to where you hit on the scapular bone. There's spots that it's easy to punch through and other spots that it's not. But if you're that guy that wants to tuck tight and you're messing with the shoulder constantly, scale it down a little bit on your cut, because a big, huge cut and flat blade angle is going to get you in trouble at some point. If you're if you're mentally that guy that comes back 3 or 4 ribs and middle lung, and you're more likely to maybe hit one in the liver or the paunch than ever forward, then that's where those big, huge cut diameters are key. So when you select a broadhead, think about how you hunt. Think about what shot placement you feel is good, and, set your broadhead up accordingly. A more moderate cut, smaller cut broadhead is going to have a better chance of busting through heavy bones than a bigger cut. It's just physics.
Right.
Answered it perfectly. I like that setup. Mechanicals fixed. There's always going to be guys that go half and half. There's no right or wrong reason. We can't sit here and push. There's benefits, as we talked about earlier in the podcast, to each. They have very, very few negatives. They have a ton of positives on either side that you go with. If you are a guy that, if you hug the shoulder, I'd say I just work on your shot. Obviously it works. We all can sit here and pound 3D targets out to 80 and say that we're ready and we're good, and then you get out there and things change. It's funny how your mind works differently when that shot opportunity sets up. We're gonna attach some photos. We talked a little bit about Jack's buck that he shot. It's here in the shop, and we're gonna attach some photos of that mini mag. When he showed me that picture, I actually called him a liar, but then he showed me the broadhead. It's just a huge, and that deer didn't go.
It went about 50 yards.
Yeah, and it's a huge buck. Our owner, we've dabbled on his buck that he shot last year on opening morning. That was with a whitetail special, but like you're saying, he diagnosed his hunt, his situation. He knew that he wasn't going to shoot over 50 yards. The whitetail special gave him the biggest cut. He shoots a lot of poundage. He shoots 30.5-inch, 31-inch draw length.
And he stays away from the shoulder.
He does. And that one, he tucked. It was like Matt was saying, he was just a couple ribs back. Mm-hmm. And that deer he kind of went off and then in, but it was 80 yards if you actually zoned it out on Onyx. You're going out west this year.
Yep.
I don't know if
shooting that inch and 3/8.
The Pro Series. Mm-hmm. Okay. The mini mags have worked. I absolutely love them. The Pro Series have caught my eye on a 3-bit. I think more blades is better. I can sit here and argue and talk to customers all day long. Give yourself some more opportunity. They're extremely tough. There's a broadhead put in the right spot's going to kill. That's just there's no way around that. But I think we kind of got everything we set up. We did have one other question, but we answered it already on Instagram. And then there's a few questions on Instagrams that we're not going to put out here because people don't think when they're behind a keyboard, like they were saying. But they did. The one question that we do have, he has shot mechanical Grim Reapers for the last 6 years. He shoots right now. He's got a razor tip. I don't even know what broadhead that is. We had a special order him in.
Yep.
Razor tip.
Yeah, our original razor tip.
He wants to know, and if you cannot answer this, we completely respect that. He wants to know if there's ever an opportunity for a titanium broadhead /
rear deploy.
Rear deploy, yeah.
Yeah, so great question. Like I said, we look at all these options nonstop. We have dozens and dozens of designs that have not hit the market. Some never will, and some will. I can tell you that rear deploy designs do exist in our lineup. We, as a company, we're not going to put something on the market unless we feel it is the best, and we feel it's something that will, if and when Grim Reaper comes out with a rear deploy, it's going to be something we feel will outperform anything that exists, including in our own line, or have some added features. We have some cool concepts along those lines. We just haven't got it to a point where it's ready. And this last couple of years, is with COVID and everything, and the demand in our industry and manufacturing challenges, has brought a lot of R&D to a screeching halt. But yeah, I would say the odds are really high in the future Grim Reaper will have a rear deploy mechanical. But, I say that with a little bit of reservation, because there's things that our current mechanical designs offer that you cannot do. Like take the mini mag, right? You cannot make a rear deploy 4-blade mechanical broadhead that's short, stout, compact, gives you a 4-blade cut, 2.5 inches of total blade surface. Like that doesn't exist. So there's reasons that our current design and setup and system have taken us this far is because it does open doors that you can't do. But yeah, rear deploy, something we're looking at, something we're playing with. That's kind of as much as I'll say there.
Yep.
Titanium, again, it's something we have looked at. It's a nightmare to machine.
Right.
In-house with, and causes a lot of hazards. Almost all titanium broadheads made come from overseas, which we're not willing to do.
I appreciate that.
But it is a manufacturing nightmare. And honestly, we weigh it out as far as if the benefits of us doing a titanium broadhead outweigh those risks. And so far, we just haven't come up with a design that really, we get asked that fairly regularly, but no, I mean, right now, that's not something we've looked at a little bit, but not something we're in the works on just because of those things I mentioned. So.
Super cool, man. And the awesome part about your company, like we talked about, America Made, and right on the back of the broadhead, it says text or call, gives your phone number. You can get an email you can send over there to ask us at grimreaperbroadheads.com. You guys are very open to everything. You can answer questions if guys have tuning questions on a particular broadhead, or like you were saying, if they have questions their very first time to the mechanical series. You can't say it's physically impossible, but it basically is physically impossible for the mechanicals not to open. The fear 10 years ago is gone. I would shoot it at an elk. You're going to shoot it at a moose, a sheep, caribou. Big game and mechanical is a definite deal nowadays. And
the right mechanical. For sure.
Yeah, and like you say, another great thing, pick up a package of broadheads and just look on the back. Like, for example, I got a Pro Series Whitetail Special 2-inch. On the back, it says deer, bear, and turkey. That's what this broadhead is recommended for, with at least 65 pounds of kinetic energy. You're not hiding anything. You're not trying to cover anything up. If I opened up, the package of Grim Reaper Micro Hades Pro, on the back, we got deer, bison, grizzly, elk, moose, and it goes through that. Yeah, anything. Pretty much anything. Turkeys, that's a big thing, and I think Grim Reaper makes one of the best turkey broadhead. It's not labeled as a turkey broadhead. You put that Whitetail Special through a turkey, and life's over, for them.
Right.
And chop their head off, whatever you wanted to do. It's all good. But, man, Matt, you've been an awesome guest on there, and we appreciate it. We've been pushing the broadheads, and we look forward to the future with the company. And if there's anything else we can do for you, let us know. And customers, you can come in the shop, ask any of our 3 locations, Waite Park, Brainerd, or right here in Rogers, or again, get online. We do have an Ask the Experts column on there, and we can get to them within a couple hours. We answer those questions. And if it's a question we can't answer, we'll just forward it on to Matt and his team, and they'll take care of it.
Yeah, you bet, guys. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate all you do, and it's been a blast talking with you guys. And yeah, like you said, just if you don't know the answer, go ask one of the experts. And we're super transparent on our end. We're diehard bow hunters. We want guys to go have a good experience. We're going to share our knowledge and our passion, and try and help everyone have the best experience they can. And we have a ton of different offerings, and we have something that fits everybody and everyone's hunting style. So, yeah, thanks for all you guys do, and hope you guys have a stellar season, and let us know if we can help with anything.
All right, buddy. Appreciate it. For everybody listening, thank you for tuning in to Archery Country Podcast. We'll catch you on down the road.
Thank you for listening to Archery Country Podcast.